So, does 3 minus 2 equal 0?
No.
No? So how can I make it so that it equals 0? Because at the end of the day, it has to add up to 0. So I'm going to need 2 aluminums. And 3 oxygens. Okay, so then my chemical formula is going to be Al2. Now you'll notice, is there any pluses or anything?
No.
Right? So when you write the chemical formula, right, there are no charges associated with it because the compound is what? Stable and it's neutrally charged, right? Good job. It's neutral. It balances out to 0. So no charges associated with it. It drives me crazy. I say that every semester. Every semester I tell you guys this. No charges, right? You notice no charges. I'll write on the piece of paper. You'll get a question that says, you know, aluminum oxide that way. And I promise you, I will see somebody do this. Always, right? This is wrong. Okay, so you don't want to do that. It's also short. Okay, questions? You don't get what I just said? This is wrong, right?
No, what
This is right.
goes to around?
What do you mean by white ash switch goes to
The
right?
2 and the 3.
How many aluminums do I have?
3.
Okay, what does it add up to?
That goes to
Add the charges. It adds up to 6. Right? Now over here, how many oxygens do I have?
6. Oh,
I
that's
have 3 oxygens, right? 1, 2, 3. The charges on this is what? And it's 6. 0. Okay, so that's the reason why there's 2 aluminums. 1, 2, right?
Oh.
And there's 3 oxygens. 1, 2, 3. That make sense? Okay. So a quick way of doing it. Now that's the hard way. I like writing it out because to me, it's all math, right? I can do math, right? That's my wheelhouse. I can do math, especially addition. You know, for the most part. If I have a degree, which I'm usually pretty good at it, right? So now another thing that you can do is if you know the charge of both of your anion and your cation, you can do what we call cross multiply. Just take this number, put it down here, take this number. Now, this works out great. It works out great if they're not multiples of each other, right? Let's say it's a multiple of each other, right? Say we have, well, let's say we have carbon and magnesium. Okay, so how would I write carbon and magnesium? What is the charge on carbon? -4. -4. Okay. What is the charge on magnesium? Okay. So how would I write the chemical formula? Or what I call it? It's G 2 carbon dioxide. The 2 magnesium to add up to that +4. Okay, what is it called? Magnesium chloride. Carbonate. Carbide. What did we say about just this element? So we're gonna drop the O in, we're gonna add ID. So you're gonna drop stuff and add. So usually you're dropping the last two letters or like ID in, like that. That's what typically happens. Okay, so we'll try another one. You guys got this. Another one? Okay. So let's say we have movement around. Yeah.
Have to make it balance so that you can keep on adding. So like if you have a -2 and a +2, that's a two, three. How it doesn't
6 equals 6. 3 plus 3, 6. 2, 2, 6. Remember that we already.
How do you know which one is the
She said one type of job.
Oh, why? I didn't know.
Yeah, we're doing the other ones.
No, but I'm saying that
Because he said it.
no, but my thing is I'm trying to figure out why and how. Because like it's like
was not far.
Because they're literally on the same side, that's what I'm saying.
It would be one,
Yeah,
two.
'cause-
Oh, because it goes to this side. Where's it
Oh,
go?
look, that side is always gonna be here.
It's closer, it's closer. If it says count, it doesn't count.
I don't like this one.
Okay,
Dropping out. Peppers, see all.
so let's start off with the first one. What is the charge on aluminum? Let's do it.
Well, it's silicone.
What is the charge? What is it for? Okay, so how many aluminums will I need to balance out silicon? Are they 4? How many silicones will I need to balance off the aluminum? Okay, so the chemical formula would be AL. Okay, and what would be the name of the compound?
Aluminum. Is it silicone? Silicone? Yes.
Okay, next one.
So you're gonna have 3, LI?
Lithium, what's the charge of lithium?
1? So we have 3 of them. P is -3, and then P is -3.
So
So it's gonna be LI 3. P.
and it's called yes.
Just a quick question. So the one on the left is always gonna be positive, and the one given on the right is always gonna be negative.
Yes, when you write the chemical formula, the positive always comes first.
And that's the only way, just because of how it's.
Yes, so that's one of the reasons I know that you didn't, like, people use Google, right? Because Google doesn't know different, right? A lot of people are dumb and they didn't pass chemistry the first time, and they'll put stuff up there on Google. And so they'll put phosphide lithium, right? They'll write it that way, or they'll write it with the LI, right? That's wrong, right? And so I know immediately that, particularly on tests, that you Googled it on your test because that's how they do it on Google, right? You'll see it done that way occasionally. That's the first thing I noticed. High school students are notorious for this, right? When they're doing their homework, they'll do that, right? So I'm like, okay, and they're like, why did I get it wrong? Well, because you used Google, right? And Google taught you wrong. So this is incorrect. Okay. You guys understand? You see the difference between them, right? So the metal is always going to go first, and then the non-metal. Okay. What about the next one? Plus. Okay. Now, depending on the book you use, some books always write it 2+. That lets you know you have 2+ charges, 3 minus charges, right? Most books use this notation. This is what you're supposed to use. As a chemist, you're supposed to use this way. But you will see it written the other way, occasionally, where it would be, yeah. And so, and the book will actually do that. It'll flip between, because somebody wrote one chapter and another person will do it. So you'll notice that.
But it's still the same.
It is the same thing, but technically you should always put the number first and then tell me how many charges for that. And then we translate it to be, oh, that's so many negatives, right? Okay, so how many of these am I going to need to balance out? How many nitrites? Okay, so together. Okay. Okay. Questions? Concerns? Cash? Okay, so now when you're writing lab reports, you guys know that if it's the beginning of the sentence, this first letter is going to be capital, right? And then if it's within the sentence, it's all going to be lowercase. Okay. Only time that you ever would capitalize something is if it's straight. Just so you guys know. Okay. Any questions? You guys ready to get to the nitty-gritty? Okay. So before we get there, let's talk about the ions independently. Let's say we just have the aluminum ion and it wasn't associated with it. Right? So the name of this guy would be called the aluminum ion. Okay. If we had just the phosphide, we call this guy just the phosphide. So we just put the ion to let us know that it's charged, right? So if you're just having that one ion by itself, and that's something we're talking about, then you know that you're just going to put the word ion at the end. You don't have to put cation, because we know that metal's always going to be positively charged, or anion, because we know that non-metal is going to be negatively charged. Okay. Questions?
The phosphide.
Nope. It's phosphide. Because phosphide has two purposes. What does it do? Lets us know that it's negatively charged, and you see that at the end of it. Okay. So you guys got that? Yeah. Should we do one more just to be sure?
No way, they did that. European.
Now, germanium is that a metal, non-metal? Post-transitional metal, transitional metal? it's a metalloid. So what did we say about metalloids? It can have the properties of a metal or a non-metal, right? So exactly. So depending on what it's reacting with. So this lets us know that it's that. Okay. So what is the symbol for that? What?
Yeah.
Or negative,
GE
right?
-4.
Okay. What about the calcium? Okay, so they're going to be reacting together. What is going to be the compound that's going to come out?
It's gonna be calcium. So it's gonna be C2, yeah. Yeah, I did it so.
I have no idea what that was doing. I don't even know how to control that. So.
Prepare. Is that yours?
Whoever it was, they took care of it. Okay. Whose laptop is trying to purify it? Okay.
It's okay, I'll just look at it.
It's not mine, so. Somebody needs some other way. Okay, so piece of cake, not too hard. You guys all understand it, right? So let's see if we can add another layer. So transitional metals are they're a little difficult, right? They're going through changes, right? Transition means a change, right? So somebody's going through transition, they're going through changes, right? So we have to let that transitional metal know its charge. The way that we do that is by giving it Roman numerals. Do you guys know your Roman numerals?
I think, okay, I know. Today or not.
I'm sorry. No, it's not before. Oh, yeah, before. And then X. No, X. Oh, look, we did it. X1.
X is 10.
Yeah. No, but to get them out, 1X.
So when we're talking about the transitional metals, we have to put Roman numerals by them. There are going to be a couple of exceptions. There's certain transitional metals that like 99% of them will only be a certain charge, right? So when you have those cases, they're always going to be that one charge most of the time, like 99% of the time. So in that case, you don't have to, right? Always exceptions. Like that you can't drive the crazy sometimes. Okay, so like for instance, if we have cobalt 3 plus, that means that we call it the cobalt from number 3, ion. Okay, if I have copper 6 plus. What is that ion going to be called? Was it?
Copper.
Copper.
Yeah. Copper is thinking. And
Copper.
the C, I is the
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, sorry.
Okay. So. You guys ready? Try it with something else. Do one more. So we have. Charge. Yes.
Is it?
Charge is always going to be the Roman numeral. So the way that we determine its charge is by who it pairs up. Right? So I'll give you an example here in a second. So we have osmium. So what would be the ion?
Osmium. 33. Ion.
Okay. Okay, so let's see what we can do. You guys ready? Shot.
Just to be, the Roman numeral can change.
Yes.
Okay.
So like osmium, there's so many different osmium. Osmium 8 is pretty rare, right? You won't see it that often. We'll say about 2% of the time. But we have osmium 6, we have osmium 5, we have osmium 4, we have osmium. You know, so exactly. And it depends on who they're paired up with and how they're being utilized, right? So. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, so. So give me the name of the compound.
Sulfide?
Nope.
Sulfate, no?
Nope, it's not sulfate. So it is sulfide, but and there's osmium. But what do I need to do?
The
Where's osmium?
parentheses.
Transitional metals. So what do I need? I need to put 2.
No,
Are you sure?
the I.
The number.
What is the charge on osmium? What is the charge on the sulfate?
Oh, negative 2.
So sulfate is -2. Okay, so each osmium must be what? I have 2 of them. What must each of them be? Each one has to be a +1. Okay, so then what would be my Roman numeral that I used it? Okay, so it's the charge of the metal that goes as the Roman numeral, right? It's not the quantity that you have. And that is the biggest mistake. Everybody wants to put 2, right? They want to say it's osmium 2 because there's 2 of them, right? But that would be wrong. Yes.
One. It's charged.
Okay.
There's
So,
2.
what would
but the
osmium 2 sulfide look like?
Wow. Okay. I saw the positive.
Okay, osmium 2. What would that look like? What would be the chemical formula? This is what osmium 1 looks like. Oh, just for the hell of it, let's do osmium 3 too. Okay, what is going to be the charge on the osmium again? Well, that's 2 plus, right? And we know that sulfide is. So then it's going to be. Okay, now you notice I did not write it. Right? Or right? Because all of these would be wrong. So you want to make sure that you're using capitals and lower cases, right? Because it means something totally different, right? Okay, what about osmium 3? What is that? What's going to be the charge on this osmium? Okay, so it's going to be.
They're trying to pair.
What was that?
They're trying to pair something.
They're going to try to pair again? Oh, and they're pretty damn persistent, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'll have the contact. Okay. Sulfur. Okay, so together. Okay. Piece of cake. Hey, you want to try another? Or you guys got it? No. One more? One more? only in the context of if it's the beginning of a sentence. Or it's trademark, which none of they can't trademark it. Although Kia can do it because they use Telluride. That's another car. Why do you think they use Telluride? Solid charge? For the Chevy Cobalt.
Oh, it tells you the charge.
See, a lot of homework.
Right here in the
Yeah.
parentheses. Wait.
Which is really odd because Cobalt. Well, you'll see. I won't spoil it for you guys.
43.
Got it? So what will be the chemical formula?
The charge is always in the parentheses.
Everybody agree with that? TC3P4?
Yeah.
We know that because what's the charge on the actinium? Okay, and then we know that phosphide. Well,
And then one word.
okay, piece of cake.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see if we can make it a little bit harder. Okay, how many of you guys have your periodic table packet? Everybody got it? No? Anybody not have it? Not one either? So Charlie, you guys. $5.
You got cash out.
Oh, yeah, I got Cash App. I got Cash App, got Venmo. Gotta make my money some way, right?
You gotta give me $5.
Okay, okay, let's see. So now I'm gonna introduce you to. So these guys here, these are also called monoatomic ions. So they're separated. So like for instance, when we talk about the copper 6 ion, that is a monoatomic. Or the
Yeah.
what do you think monoatomic?
One atomic.
So it means one. Okay. We also have what we call polyatomic ions. What do you think a polyatomic ion is?
Like 3 or more. More than one.
More than one. Just be simple, more than one. Okay. So for instance, if we have. Everybody got this down somewhere?
Yeah.
this ion is called hydroxide. Yeah, it's, we write it as OH. Although you will see it written as this, but normally we don't write it as HO because so it's typically written as OH. Okay, now what this means is that this together has a negative charge. These guys are going to be covalently bonded with each other. They're going to be sharing electrons, but together they have an extra electron atom. Okay, so it's considered a polyatomic ion because together they have a negative one charge. Okay, another example. This guy's called fate. Okay, so that means sulfur and oxygen are covalently bonded together, but together they have 2 extra electrons added on. That causes them to be fate. Okay, questions? Have that look. Is it a Monday look or is it a? It's giving. Right. So if you guys do me a favor, if you go in your packet, a lot of instructors like you guys to memorize the polyatomic ion. If you go to page, it will be the 3rd page or 6th. It says common polyatomic ions. Everybody sees it? Common polyatomic ions. Okay, so these are the common polyatomic ions that you guys should know, like the back of your hands. You might not have to memorize it, but by the time we finish, you should know them. It's kind of like you should know the things on the periodic table by the time we finish, right? Because you guys know that O is for what? Oxygen. It's not for osmium, right? Because we know that osmium is OS. You just worked on it. You should know that. Okay, so let me give you another little hint. Now, these again are called polyatomic ions. Now, if you have sulfate is kind of like what we call our shining point. That's what kind of starts off. If we add 1 additional oxygen to it, and we have SO5, charge is going to remain the same. This guy's going to be called curved sulfate. Right? How many of you guys have kids? Now, if we give your kids a whole bunch of sugar, what happens? They bounce off the wall. They become hyper, right? So in chemistry, instead of saying hyper, we just say per, right? Because we know that it stands for hyper. 1 more, right? Okay. If we have 1 less oxygen than the sulfate, SO3 2 minus, we call this sulfite. I want to fight you. IT. Sulfite. 1 less. Okay. Now, if we have 1 less than the sulfite, we call that iPhone. So, yeah, 1 oxygen less, right? Look at the oxygens. Now, these guys, they're a special type of polyatomic ions. The ones that have oxygens, they're called oxy anions. Why do you think they're called oxy anions? negative charge and they have oxygen. Okay. So if it has 8 sulfate, starts off with 4, sulfite 3, hyposulfite 2 oxygen. That's notice. Okay. Per means that we add more oxygen to the sulfate, right? And you notice per sulfate, one more to that. Hypo, what is hypodermic? Below body temperature, right? So if you're below the body temperature, you're hypo, right? That's where that hypo is, below, right? Below. You guys see that? Okay, let me give you guys a couple more.
Yeah.
Better to erase.
Oh, wait, hold on.
So the eights, does that all have to do with just the oxygens?
It deals with the oxygen.
Okay.
So if you have ATE, it has oxygens, or sometimes it'll have sulfur. Right? Now sulfur is in the same group as oxygens, so sometimes it'll behave the same way. I'll give you an example of that here in a second.
Oh, 18. That's
Mhm. Yes.
Oh, that's like
ATE. What's that?
Oxygen ion.
What is that for?
So that's the whole group. All of them are called oxygen. If they have oxygens in them, right? Hydroxide. Hydroxide is an oxygen ion. Sulfate is an oxygen ion, right? Because it's oxygen and it's negatively charged. Right? So that's the specific type of polyatomic aldehydes. Specific type of polyatomic ion. All of these are. Yeah. So this is the whole family is called oxygen because they have oxygen. Yeah, because they have. Yes, they're a non-metal with oxygen. Yeah, so that's all oxygen.
So the negative two charge.
Okay. So it's given to you. I'll give you a hint, but it holds up for most cases, but there are gonna be exceptions. So, and I'll give you how did you get the negative two charge, right? Okay, so one thing is I'm gonna say you got the negative two charge because I told you we have negative, two charge, right? Then I'm gonna show you another.
The way I'm like, why wouldn't it be?
What is the charge on sulfur? Okay, so sulfur always going to be negative two. Okay, so let's say we have phosphorus. What is phosphorus? Oh, by the way, what is this called again?
What?
What ion is this called? So what?
Oh, no, it's sulfide.
Sulfide, right? Okay, so everybody got that down too, right? Sulfide. And you guys see the difference between sulfate and sulfide? You don't see the difference? You don't see that big oxygen next to the sulfate that has 4 of the oxygens next to it. You don't see that. Okay, you're just gonna ignore it. Huh?
Ignore the.
Okay. Okay, can I erase this now?
Yeah.
Gotta write some more stuff. Actually. Okay. So CO minus, what is that called?
Chloride.
And we have chloride. Okay, so okay, so if we have ClO3, if you look at your polyatomic ion table, what is that called? Three. Take a look on there. Look on your polyatomic ion table. Chlorine. Chlorine. Okay. So if it has 4, then it must be called fur. So if it has 2, then it must be called. Sure. So if it drops down by 1 from the 8, it becomes a. Or somebody say it with you.
Chloride.
All right. Okay, and then if it drops down 1 more from the 8.
So looking at the one, so I'm looking at the top one as well. Oh, no, yeah, actually, I didn't actually.
Okay. You can see it now.
I can see it now.
Okay. So this is called phosphide. So this guy right here, PO4, is called phosphate. So 1 more oxygen would be per. Okay, 1 less than the phosphate. Okay, and 1 less than the phosphite. Okay. Guys got it so far? Okay, so now let me tell you a little bit more information. So if we go down the groups, so we have phosphorus. What's more phosphorus? Let's go to the right away. Arsenic. Okay. Now, arsenic is going to behave just like phosphorus because they're in the same group, right? So, even though arsenic is a metal. It's a metalloid. Even though it's a metalloid, it's still going to try to behave like it when it hooks up with oxygen, right? So if we have AsO4, what should be the charge associated with it? What do you guys think the charge does? Negative what?
-3.
-3, because it's in the same group, right? If you notice, chlorine has a negative what charge associated with it? Chloride, -1, right? So anything that's in that group, we would assume would have the same charge, right? It's going to behave exactly the same way. Okay. So this guy would be called arsenic. Okay, so then I would assume AsO5, 3 minus, is going to be per. Okay, because I have one more oxygen, it's going to be per, right? Okay, so then AsO3, 3 minus, going to be arsenic. AsO2 minus. Okay. Okay, so if I have SbO5 minus, what's going to be its? Okay, so then SB, yeah, finish it. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, SB4 minus. Okay. SBO3, 3 minus. Okay. Do you guys see the trend?
Yes.
Is that
Just, I'm just wondering why, so like, before I, that one, this is sweet. Okay, what's our
So the starting range is always the hardest part to get that. Yeah. And usually what you do is you find something that's like it, that is in the polyatomic ion table, and you memorize it. So we know that phosphate is always going to be a plus 4. Right? Phosphate, sulfate, both of those are always going to be plus 4. Chlorate is always going to be a plus 4. Yeah. Okay. So let me give you an example. One example that of an exception is nitrate. So if you guys look at the polyatomic ion table, what does nitrate? NO3, and it's negative. Okay. So it breaks all the rules, right? Because it doesn't have a free charge associated with it. It only has that one charge. So we'll call this nitrate. So per nitrate, we'll write this chemical formula for per nitrate. NO2. Minus.
By any chance, will it go down more like in like something?
Now, usually it goes, hypo is the lowest it'll go, oxy acids, because then they don't become standard. Right? If it's N by itself, it's called what? And what would be the charge associated with it? N by itself would be nitride. What would be the charge?
1 to 44 is literally giving it to oxide.
-3, because we know that nitrogen is 3 away from being a noble gas, so it's going to have a negative charge. That's not going to change. So the nitrate is the exception in this case. Okay. It's an example of the exception. Sorry. There are a couple other exceptions that we got to worry. Yeah. This is the main one we got to worry about. There are other ones you may run into, not too. Okay. Questions? Concerns? Okay, so let's give you guys another one. So. Okay, what is this guy called?
No. Oh, yeah. Eight.
Oxalate.
Oxalate? Where the alcohol from? Oh, just
Okay.
oxalate?
So per oxalate would be
For oxalate would be the 5, right? It would be C2O5 2 negative.
per.
Oh, okay. Just adding stuff together, bro.
So 5 is per.
Hypo.
Four is eight.
What would be the chemical formula for
Three is
hypo?
eight. Hypo, height, 2. But we focus on NO, 4 negative, 4 is per nitrate. Because I should just start with 4 and end with 1. That's what's right there. This is 5. 2 is hypo, and then 3 is SO.
Got a question? Okay.
What happened to the carbon?
If I can squeeze it
How
in
does it
there.
combine? That's what I would do.
That is good.
And then what I like you guys to do is just go down the road. Down and give me the names of them.
Yeah, that's what I meant. 'Cause I remember it was chocolate. It was like a- I should get one that just added it, because you started it right now.
This one should go.
Put them on the side of your shirt. I'll finish the rest.
A long time ago. You're like, yeah, it's great. Don't think this is great.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, no, you're watching original. Or they went for flashbacks when they first met.
There's nothing
about best friends.
That's gonna be your match, then just work way down.
Just.
Oh,
This is why
sorry,
I go from statements
You're right.
transparently.
That should be
Or
okay.
just like talk about it.
If it was on a exam,
No, I don't believe this. That's. He wants to do it. Yeah.
Where? On the nitro? On the very end?
Yeah, so they put on somebody on
I had a
some light. How will Yeah. Why is there a single? I think you should.
Yeah, that's not like how why is it oxalate?
No, on the other side.
Oh, so he's adding them. Oh, he's barely doing it?
Oh, yeah, work with it.
Yeah, I was at work and we were and then
okay, ready? First one. Okay. Okay, you guys got this now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're gonna actually take our 15-minute break now. So I'll see you guys back here at 10 o'clock. I'm feeling it.
Who scored? And some girl. I'm like,
Janet, ¿vas a ir con nosotros? Ya.
¿Manejas?
No. No today.
¿Manejo yo?
I get shot. Janet would.
Ebony gets shotgun with me.
Oh my god. You broke a lot of fuck my where are my where's the documents? I mean, school, the papers, are those finished yet? Can you pass me to the Sandra? All right, well, I've not been able to get my medication. Or every time I get my medication, specifically the Adderall, it's not in the quantity of 30 pills. It's less than that. I will get apparently I will get a refill in 3 days, but it's already been 2 weeks since I've been unable to take medication because it ran out. Yeah, June 16th, 2003, Gabriel Velarde. Gabriel Velarde. 2003. Thank you. The pharmacy. But it's not 2 bottles of quantity. So
Hello.
I feel like the pharmacy keeps messing up my order on medications.
Okay.
Instead of the amount in 30 it's less.
Mhm.
2 weeks now I haven't had medications.
Really?
And then they gave me 2 orders of the same medication the same month. Like I got clonidine, which is another ADHD medication from Walmart, and then messed with the order for the Adderall. I thought it was. And sent it to Rite Aid, which is technically more convenient.
Yeah.
I have to walk with it. But I got that, and it was clonidine. So both of them were clonidine. It's like 2 months worth. It's like it's not Adderall, which I have not received. And I need to go at 11 o'clock to take some more for John, which is not related to medication. That's just something from home.
Okay.
And I've been working on the website first.
And so tomorrow, we'll, when you get in, you'll show me what you've done.
All right.
Okay. And then discuss.
Is there anything else? Here?
No?
Is it true that when you shave, it grows faster?
Yes.
Because like for a really long time, it's like, how do these guys keep growing beards?
Like shave this, like shave that.
It's like, I didn't think of that. I thought
It's true.
that was bullshit.
It's true.
So I shaved my mustache a little.
Yeah, your peach fuzz.
Yeah. And it felt so weird.
Yeah.
It feels weird. Mustache. Yeah, I'll have to go like at 11 o'clock. Go to the bus.
The eight. Yeah. I think the eight was always like the higher. And then it goes. No, yeah. Part eight. Yeah, right. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
It's not a twelve.
It's sister. Can you probably look at it? I can, then I-
Okay. So you have a name or you have a chemical formula. If you have a name, you give me the chemical formula. If you have a chemical formula, you give me the name.
And this is quiz number 6.
This is not a quiz.
No,
This is
just, okay, just to put this.
just do it. Just do it. Unless you, I mean, you guys want to make it a quiz, we can make it a quiz.
No, I'm good, just asking, just clarifying. Yes.
that's how you figure it out. What about the height? Yeah. Or is it what? 504.
Oh.
I don't know.
Because it's RHE. I don't know why it's RE on the table. Is there another RH? Oh, because there's another RH on the table. So that's what I had to put E. What do you think? Don't let them.
And then my
I was like, am I looking at the wrong one? I was like, she might be right.
Can I go RE2 and then to
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 too, but I think it's such a poison. Oh, for 3 hours. Oh. Is 5.
In your degree. Those are
Oh, wait, I found it.
75.
They're exactly the same. Which one? The 56 and then 107, they're the same, which is same as the H. Oh, no, the O.
I was like, are you sure? Like,
Oh, you're right, Melissa. Alone. Oh, that please.
I was just saying, I'll play with you.
Some lemon on that side. The best piece of lemon on that side. I'll go, remember? Except for mine, my dad's and hers. Oh, but it's like interesting for you. It's gonna like, it's happy you're saying this. It's hyphenated. How did you meet? I know that's right. No, it's because for some reason, well, when I was born, now that didn't know that snake passing too. It's not common. And then you put his, like his life and all the same years, just 6 years apart.
Yeah, I have both of them. And my dad.
Generation, not just your house. Like there's members that can let you have like the 2 last names. She was like right in front of me in food go. She don't know lady don't worry. I am not gonna go freaking swoop on a freaking old lady.
Why not?
Yeah, but
Sure, it wasn't a cane.
with mine, though, I don't know, mine was technically it should be like my name, but then my mom's last name, and then my dad's. But mine's like mine, my dad's.
My brother is my dad. I read baskets.
And two, so we're different. So like, so mine's this and then my brother and sister have.
Yeah.
It's their name. It's to be this one knows me. Their name and then it's the word that you see on mine.
Also, do it. We should complete I'm taking my dad's. Baskets. It's like a long.
Okay, so I found it, right? Like, how do I make?
No, it's just like my.
So you work at the company hospital? They hired you, huh?
They always
Well,
have.
however, my.
I'm gonna apply.
Because I grab my kids.
I write them down.
I'm
Someone
gonna
so.
I just want to make. That's why.
And then they always know names.
My
Oh,
parents, my parents looked at my sister. Last name, I just- so I was like,
At least
I mean,
parents have sons to give also.
Me too.
That's how I was thinking about
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
I know how to get it.
That's why we do stay now.
Okay, so let's see.
Okay.
Would it be 3? No, 2? Well, what's
Everyone's
it?
typo.
It's throwing me off because of the color.
Ready.
We got you twice, bro. We know what we're talking about.
That's good, that's good. That means you guys are paying attention. Like Tessa, just test you guys out.
Yeah.
Okay. So. First one. MN. Okay.
It's 8. No, we changed it twice.
We're saying.
So one was like,
Right. So what do you do?
oh, it is.
How do you balance?
See? Why don't you go watch it? I know it's a-
It's phosphorus.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, I know something about.
you guys see that?
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
No?
That's what we have. We're missing with the CO2.
Because,
Okay,
like what I
so this tells me the chart, right?
Yeah.
So it has 4 charts, right? And this, we know, has a 3 chart, right? It's a -3 chart, right? So, okay, so then if they have to balance out, they have to have a total of 0 at the end of the day. Well, we know 4 - 3, that doesn't equal 0, right? So how many of these and how many of these do we need for each one? Right? So if I take it, if I cross multiply, remember what I say, cross multiply? As long as it's not a multiple, right? So then that means that if I have 4,
We have the right idea, which is the.
We can do it now.
Yeah.
so that's 3, that's 6, that's 9, that's 12, okay, -12.
Oh.
Okay, so that's 4, that's 8, that's 12, That's 12. 12 minus 12, 0. So then that's 1, 2, 3. 3 manganese, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hypophosphites. Okay.
How do you get the two? The KO2?
Because it was hypophosphite, right? So we know that phosphate. Phosphate.
No.
No.
Yes, he's doing one.
That's 4.
That's 4. So one below it would be phosphate. Right? CO2. Hypo. Phosphate. Okay.
Mine too, but it didn't. Too long. Actually, put it to first place and thinking about the rest of these offense before.
Over here.
So we did that one right.
See it?
We did it right with this one on the. On my chart.
So can you give us homework like this?
Yeah,
That's
you
the
have a lot of
homework.
homework.
Yeah, I think the
That's
homework
what
due tonight is like that.
And everyone like this?
It's pretty much.
Yeah, I can give you more like this.
No, because it helps, that's how I'm gonna learn it though, right?
Yeah. The more you do it. the
Sodium
better.
phosphate, so like that.
The extra credit sounds good, huh?
The rest
Okay,
was.
so to the next one. Can I erase this? Everybody got
Now
some?
I think I get this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one. CN parentheses NO3 parentheses 3. Link 1.
How do we know the parentheses? You're right. You're
What's funny?
smart. Nitrate. Oh, trait.
Do you guys agree? Everybody agree with that?
Wait, give me that. No. But usually the 8 on this one is 4.
Who says zinc 3?
Wait.
So we have zinc 1 or zinc 3?
1. 3. No, 1.
Those who think it's zinc 1, raise your hand.
Because it's by itself. Because it's.
Those who say it's zinc 3, raise your hand. Zinc 3 is correct.
Why? But I thought that would just go for the one in parentheses.
No, because other.
Why is zinc 3 correct?
It's on the outside, you have to bring
Even
it
the
in.
top one that's.
Like cross it out, right? Like-
Oh, and then why is it 8?
Okay, so we know the nitrate has, we have 3 nitrates, right? Each
On
one,
this side. The 8s are 4. 4, 5.
each one is a -1 charge, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, right? How many zincs do we have?
1, so it would be
We
1
have
by
1.
3.
So what does it have to be? Zinc 3.
And it's nitrate, not nitrite.
It's nitrate, not nitrite. Because if you look on your polyatomic ion table,
Because it would be a 9. Wait.
but look under your polyatomic ion table. Remember, nitrate is a little bit fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
So is it only the nitrogen that does that?
Everybody get that? Do you understand? Still haven't. She has not. She gives me that smile. She's like this. Okay. That doesn't mean understanding. That means that I'm not gonna answer you. Okay. So rubidium 5, tellurite.
Tellurite, that's what you say? Tellurite?
I know. They're not always gonna be on your paper. You've got to use what you know. What do you know about it? Where's it located at?
What's it?
Where? Which group? Which group is it located in? It's in group 16.
Yeah.
Who else is in group 16 that we know about?
Sulfur.
Sulfur. So if we have SO4, that's called what?
Sulfate.
Sulfate.
That's
So if we have TeO4, 2 minus, what do you think that's going to be called?
But it was saying
Tellurate.
okay. So would it be
So if I want tellurite, what should it be?
a 3? T. Yeah, 3.
TeO3 minus. That would be
Oh,
right.
but are you
Okay. So what is the charge on tellurite? -2. And this rhenium, its charge, so it's RE. Okay. So they're right. So you're right. Parentheses. 3.
Oh, Cooper. My dog. Agree with the better.
Okay. You guys agree with that? Yes.
I just have a weird question.
Yes.
So how do you know when to stop, like it's tellurate? Like, why not go tell you or further?
Oh, how do you know to stop at till? Okay, that's actually a very good question. So typically, if it ends, because the full chemical name is tellurium, IUM. So usually you drop the last 3 letters or the last 2 letters. So you drop the IUM, or you'll drop the ON, or you'll drop the RUS.
It's RUS.
Okay, so you usually drop like the last 3 letters or last 2. Okay. So anytime it ends with IUM, drop that. Arsenic, IC, drop the IC.
So depending on the column or the group that we're in, so if it's heavy in arsenic, is it gonna be like AS? I know we started with.
It's not gonna be like, everything after phosphorus, anything below it, it's gonna behave like phosphorus. If it's, because sometimes what we'll have, you guys take a look on it, on your polyatomic ion table, you have one that's called chromium. Chromium. No, chromium is a metal. Right? Chromate? Okay, so chromium is a metal, but when it's with that oxygen, it's gonna behave funky. And so because it's being funky, it gets called chromate, right? Okay, because oxygen is gonna cause it to behave as an anion. So when you get that metal with an oxygen, let's say you go down there, say after arsenic, what's below arsenic? Antimony, right? What's below antimony? Because that's another bismuth, right? So you get bismuth with oxygen, then we call it bismuth.
So how are we getting clear?
It's kind of like the sulfur with the oxygen, right? Did you get sulfur with the oxygen? Get sulfate. So anything that's below, sulfur is gonna behave, like anything below sulfur is gonna behave like that sulfur when it's. Does that make sense? So if they're in their same group, they're gonna behave very similar.
So anything
Even though
like,
they may be metals, they're gonna have same similar behavior in terms of nomenclature.
so like phosphorus was like, anything under phosphorus will behave like phosphorus.
That's right. Nitrate, nitrogen is the exception. Nitrogen is gonna be the exception for nitrogen.
Oh, that's what you're saying. That's why you wouldn't use that. That's why I guess. it's like-
Because you look at the nitrogen and the phosphorus, yeah.
The charge
Unless you
is
go
for
from
the
E up to oxygen.
So that's
When
why
I was
the
asking
charge
about
is
arsenic, I would come
you have to.
Because nitrogen is fun.
Yes, that's the weird. Yeah. So like if we were in group 17, we can go to iodine.
That's right.
So it's chlorate.
Yes, nitrogen is the only exception.
And then to be the twice.
One of these, one of these. We'll do that.
Yeah, for those.
Okay. So, does that help? Those are really good questions. Keep asking those questions. Good questions.
All right, one more question. How do we go from there?
Okay, so 4, I have
So how do we go?
copper 6.
Chromate is a total special case, right? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. But that's the thing. The metals are kind of weird. When they get hooked up with that oxygen, they get formed.
Yeah. Plus everything. I thought maybe I didn't.
So, yeah, and so it makes it,
And it's personal thing.
makes it a little more complicated, but it happens.
So is it chromate and sulfur or some of these transitional?
Some of the other transitional metals will be the same,
And then.
like, aluminum.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how do we know what goes to
This
one?
is also.
Just, that's why I need you guys to find out. And those are the ones, that's your foundation, right? And then the ones that behave like it, you know, if it's in a group, it's gonna behave like it, right? Okay, does that help?
Yeah, that does.
So you use that as kind of like your guide, and then once you get those guys knocked down, like you got those understood, everything else will start clicking.
Probably not.
Chlorate. You don't write the.
No, you're perfect, you're asking the right questions for where you're at. Perfect. That's all the questions. Okay. Everybody got that so far? Okay, you wanna move on to the next one? Okay, what is this one called?
Copper 6 Roman numeral per sulfate.
You said copper, what?
6, the Roman
Copper
numeral.
6?
Yeah. Per sulfate, because it's a 5.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Now, let's break it down.
Okay.
So each per sulfate has what charges associated? 2 negatives. And we have how many of them?
3.
We have 3 of them. Okay, and the copper, you have how many? We have 2 coppers. Okay, this adds up to a total of 6. Each copper has to be what? So is it copper 6?
Copper 3.
Copper 3.
The charge. Okay, I see where I went wrong. Yeah. Yeah, I did it wrong.
So is the charge on
Yeah.
each of the coppers, right? Yeah, but look. So that's why, I mean, it's kind of like counting on your fingers and your toes, right? When you're learning to count, right? You use your fingers, didn't you?
Yeah.
I know, you didn't want anybody to know you used it. And then, you popped off your shoes and you use your fingers, right? And your toes, and you're counting, right? It's the same thing here. Break it down, Okay, I have 3 of these, right? I have 2 of these. So then what has to be the charge on 2 of them? If you break it down, it's hard to fuck it up, right? But we get too prideful sometimes, like, I have this, if you gotta use those toes, pop them out, Okay,
Yes, I don't know.
barium chlorate. First off, do I need a Roman numeral for this? Why not?
Oh, because it's not a transitional metal.
That's right, it's because it's not a transitional metal or a post-transitional metal. Okay, so you don't need a Roman numeral for it. Group 2. Group 2 is always what charge?
Two, positive.
Positive.
Positive 2. Okay, so what should be the chemical formula?
And then in parentheses Cl4,
Ba
parentheses Cl4.
parentheses Cl4.
Yeah, and then 2 at the end, because we use it twice.
Are you sure?
Oh, wait, no. You
It's
needed L.
ClO.
ClO?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, now are you sure?
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
Don't put money on it.
You know what? Yeah.
Would it be 3?
It's 3.
Right,
Right?
for it to be chlorate.
It's one of those funny ones that doesn't start off with that 4.
Okay.
There's a couple of them that are like that, that we're picking that up, right? So we know that nitrate also starts off with 3, right? And the thing is, the more you use it, the better you get.
DACL -1 and 3 on
Okay, what does that rule about that -1?
You can't have it because that's the additional.
Remember, it can't have a charge associated with it, right? Overall, it has to add up to 0. There should be no charges associated with it. Good question, because that was, again, the most common mistake made, you know? Everybody want to put those charges on there after it should be 0, it should add up to 0, right? Okay, what about the next one?
Is it strontium parentheses to chloride? Wait, hold on.
What did you say?
Strontium to parentheses to.
No. Sure.
No, you don't need the Roman numeral because it's not a transitional metal.
That is right, you don't need the Roman numeral because it's not a transitional metal. So, and then what is the anion?
Right.
All right,
All right. Or is it one of those ones again?
chlorine.
I don't like that. I don't appreciate that.
Right, fluoride would just be F, right? Okay, questions? Concerns? Cash? Kool-Aid?
So will our worksheet, the,
Oh, I'm gonna make it harder, don't worry about it, this is still easy.
You don't have to, you know,
I
don't have to make it harder?
Keep it like this.
it's good like that.
We gotta add another layer.
We're good with layers.
Okay. Okay, everybody, are you guys feeling at least, you put your toe in the water? Feel like you're putting the toe in the water right now?
Yeah. It's like
Okay, that's good. I want you to keep your toe, keep putting the toe in the water. We're gonna push you in a minute. Okay, okay, can I erase this? Everybody got this down?
I'm gonna do this.
Okay, so next thing that we're gonna be talking about are acids. Normally I would talk about covalently bonded things, but we're gonna just jump to acids. No, since we're gonna push it in the water now, so. Okay, so this is what I want you to remember. Okay, so write this down. Okay.
Oh, it's almost like.
Yeah, organic apples despite them being poisonous.
My right has hydro.
My right has hydro.
Fight. Okay. The other one I want you to remember is ride as Rob. I know it's the spell. Problems.
Oh.
Okay. So when we're talking about acids, acids are kind of like a special case of an ionic compound. Here, the anion is going to be a nonmetal, but the cation is going to be hydrogen. Hydrogen is kind of funny. It can lose an electron, give away an electron when it's in a solution, when it's in water. So if I have HF, AQ means in water, means aqueous. Okay, that's aqueous. Okay, that's a Q. Okay, so AQ stands for aqueous. So as soon as you see AQ, it has parentheses AQ, and it has hydrogen in front, that means it's going to form an acid. When it forms an acid, its name is going to change compared to if I have F. Right? Not talk about what HF is. Okay. So if I have HF gas, it's going to be different than if it's HF. And they're going to behave different. Because the way it behaves is, it behaves like this. Okay. It behaves as two ions, right? When they're in water, they separate. Okay. So we'll talk about this. This is a very special case. Now, this acid, HF, is going to be called, normally we would call this guy hydrogen. And this guy would be a chloride, right? That's what we would normally call this. Hydrogen. Okay. So it ends in IG, right? So chloride ends in IG. So my ride. So now we can call this guy hydrochloric. So okay, so if I have this guy, H3PO4, it has that hydrogen there. That lets me know that it's going to be an acid, and it has AQ. It's going to be an acid. Okay, you see these two together, immediately it's going to be an acid. Or if I tell you it's an acid, you can write it down like this, but you need to know the name of it. Now this guy, it normally would be called phosphate, ATE, right? So now, since it's an acid, we change its name, 8 becomes IC. So this guy would be called phos. And this is kind of, normally we say phosphate, IC, but they put back an OR, right, phosphoric acid. Okay, so if I have H2 SO4, hydro. The only time you use hydro is when there's no oxygen present.
Okay.
So this guy would call support acid. Okay. Now, if it was. How is this? Right, so big. If I have this. Three. This guy is called. Oh, so this guy would normally be called phosphite, right? So ITE, ITE, OUS. So this guy would be called phosphorus acid with OUS. Okay. So what if I have H2SO2? This would be called what? Hypo. So normally it'd be sulfite, but now we're replacing the fight with the OUS. So then it becomes OUS. Okay, so it becomes hypo. So here it is. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we add on the UR. So for yeah. I never understood why they did it that way, but okay. So if I have this one. This guy here, perchlorate. This chloric. If I have no. Right. So then hydrochloric. As it's I, this is chloride, so then you put hydrochloric. Right. There's no oxygen there, right? It's gonna have hydrochloric. Okay, what about this? So this is dry, so then okay. Okay. Questions? Yeah, I'll put a couple more. Already have just so let's do this. Now you use your polyatomic ion table. So
The answer is the three would be starting out.
Okay, we have some answers.
It just depends on how much there is.
Okay, got some answers? Okay, let's go through. Okay. Okay, first one. Nitrogen.
What's it? Nichromic?
Next one.
Is it just chromic?
Oh,
Chromis? Okay, and then, oh, that was my bad. Yeah, he's right.
okay.
For the hydrotelluric acid, how do you know that it's telluric when there's no number there? It's like only the T,
How do I know that it's?
telluric.
Because it's to the right normally, right?
Okay. Oh, okay.
So you're gonna use the full word except for the very, end. That's the thing that you're switching out, right? So, because it's delirium, right? IUM, so we drop the IUM and then we just put. Yes.
In what case would they be like hydro?
So if it doesn't have,
That was the blank
Well,
one. It was on.
if it, well, it'll never happen like this, right? You'll never see it. But if it didn't have any oxygen here, then it would be chromic, right? Because then it would be chromic acid, hydro. Hydro basically means there's no oxygen. Yes.
For the hydrotelluric,
Telluric.
wouldn't it be an S at the end? 'Cause the-
Hydrotelluric. No, you did. I carried over the message.
the IC.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I know. Either that or.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so that one, I don't know. I think because it's what I think I see. Okay, so you know how before it would be like, like chromite, you know? So how I said I eat organic apples.
Okay, so you guys are feeling confident about acids? Yeah. Okay, so now we have one more thing to add on. Actually, I have to add on.
Eight and the I.
Well, one major.
And then it turns into an egg.
We got three minor things. That's easy stuff.
It's telling you it's gonna turn into.
So,
So it goes in order.
Yeah. So.
I can erase.
I.
So the next thing I want to talk about are called hybrids.
So it would have been chromite. It would have been chromite, right?
You're hydrated. Okay,
Okay,
so we'll talk about hybrids. When we talk about hydrates, we're just basically adding water. And the way that we write it is, we write it a big old dot, and then the number of waters that are going to be added onto this. Now, what happens is that this compound is going to be surrounded by that water, right? So it basically it's surrounded by the water. So that's the reason why we write it like this. So if we would name this, like we normally name this here. What is this guy? This first one. This one.
Iron chlorate.
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just like, don't say I don't know.
Iron. It's 8. This one would be 8.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
You want to put money on?
Wait. No, there's no O.
It's like no wrong.
There's no O.
Just ignore the water part.
I'm
Name
saying
the
I.
first one.
I.
Iron what?
Chloride.
Said iron chloride. Chloride. Wait.
Because there's no
Eight.
oxygen.
If it has ATE, it should have what? It
Oh.
should have an O in it, right?
So
If it has ITE, it should have what in it?
Oxygen.
If it has D,
It's just by itself.
it's by itself.
Okay.
Okay, so now isn't it chlorine by itself?
Yeah, so it's chloride.
Okay, so it's iron chloride. Are you missing anything else?
The
Hydro.
oh wait. Parentheses.
The parentheses
Oh.
Oh, the
Okay.
Roman numeral. So yeah.
and three.
3.
Okay, iron 3 chloride, right?
Yeah.
And then it's hydrated, right? It's basically you're giving it water. And you're giving it how many waters? 8. So the way that we write 8, we use what we call Greek prefixes. You guys know your Greek prefixes?
No.
Let me tell you this now. So 1 is mono, okay? 2 is di. 3 is tri. 4 is hex. 5 is penta. Right. 6 is hexa. 7 is hepta. 8 is octa. Now we're only gonna go to 13. 9 is nona. 10 deca.
You should add that on that chart.
11 is undeca.
So that's why I think we're like dying.
12 is dodeca.
Doja.
And then 13
I
would
would
be
say true.
this guy would be called iron rechloride. Octa.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like speaking Spanish.
It's fine. And it wasn't in the Okay, so let me give you another example.
Don't read me.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, octahydrate. Yeah.
So much work.
The store that you store IT. Can't eat every day for 30 minutes. I would always tell her like, she's like, no, you guys go.
Yeah, so no. Okay.
No.
Any of them.
But I never want.
This one from 12. Yeah, so you don't need to be there, just get it in this one.
Yeah, I won't do tie-dye.
I did with my tie shirt, and that's not appropriate for school.
Free entry.
No, but it's tie-dye.
I'm down.
Yeah,
The chef's up there. I'm going, let's go.
No.
Yeah, they said and snacks.
The shirt has a problem.
We need to work tie dye.
They're gonna have tie-dye.
Are they in there?
Any more
In there?
Legos?
Really gross.
Yeah, those are the numbers. And then
The top one is really rare.
yeah, it's already written, it's
So
iron
it's in the
core.
bottom of the
Yeah.
two bottom ones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Where were you?
I was like, how many? They look the same though?
Oh.
Sorry.
What blue and gold. What's Fireball?
The same thing as you guys. You guys
Okay.
have Fireball? The same, basically the same thing.
So answers?
So the B is. The B is what's it called? It's vanadium.
What is it? Okay, there.
Any answers?
No.
Oh, wait, why did I write that twice? What is the very top?
23.
23.
Medium?
Three. So big that I.
Oh, it's a
This is
B.
the outside, remember the outside goes inside. Yeah, but remember the outside was. inside.
No, that's this.
I knew it was
Oh,
a short
yeah.
term,
Yes, you're reading.
but I didn't know that. I was looking for a Y. I was like, there's a Y. Yeah, it looks like a Y. This one's a B.
My B don't look like a what?
No.
Yeah, also be
I got that.
sulfate.
I got the no nitrate.
Okay.
See, look at your B and your Y. looks the same. She messed me up.
But I was doing it right here, then I looked up.
Is it zinc-chromium?
Okay. Zirconium.
Oh, wait.
Oh, how do you say it?
Zirconium.
How?
Zirconium. You've heard it before, zirconium?
Not really.
Is
Is it ZIR?
Yeah,
Zirconium.
I've never heard it.
Yes, you hear zirconium.
Now.
What is it for?
Yeah, they used to use it like, like earrings. A lot of them are laced with zirconium.
Oh, okay.
Jewelry, bling. Okay, so. CR3.
From 13.
I'm writing down exactly what you're saying.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, 13H2O is good. Okay, so zirconium, what is the charge on it? 4, what is the charge on dichromium?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. It has a +4 charge associated with it. Okay. Did you guys all get that?
Yes.
Yes.
So, is that a 707?
It's 07. It's CR207. Parentheses 2. Each one is a -2 charge. Zirconium is a +4 charge. And then we have 13 waters. So it's not in none of the 4. Okay. We just have to order some more. What was that? CR2? No, it's CR. It's just CR. If we're all plastic bottles.
I don't want it to.
Oh.
Then we'll just leave it all. Okay. Any questions on hydrates? Okay, there's one thing I want to talk to you about hydrates before we go on to this part is in chemistry, we work on a budget. If you guys haven't figured that out, we're working on a budget right now, trying to figure out what else that's section. So a lot of times we'll have stuff that's hydrated basically has water in it, and we'll get rid of the water. And the way you would do that is just by boiling, right? You put it on on a fire and you just knock it out. When you do that, you want to let your evaporate know that you remove the water. You may use it in an experiment that you don't want to have water in. By having water in it, it can cause an explosion. So when you do this, and we get and we remove the water, you're letting the class know or your colleagues know that is going to move. So we would call this iron. Iron 3. Okay, so this guy here now is called iron 3 anhydrous, and means without bond. Iron 3 chloride. This one here is iron 3 chloride anhydrous, meaning that we evaporated the water out. That's why we get plus H2O. So it goes from FeCl3.8. Let me write it. So this guy's name now is called anhydrous, iron 3 chloride anhydrous. Where when it had the water, it was called iron 3 chloride octahydrous. Because the plus we know means and this, right? This here means it's part of the same compound. See the difference? So in other words, we got rid of this. Okay. Are you guys with me? Now, the reason why this is important, when I was in grad school, there was this kid, he had been around for a long time. And he was working on this new instrument. And the reaction that he was doing was an organic reaction. He was supposed to have an anhydrous solution. Basically means no water should have been in it. Any water in that solution would cause the instrument to go up.
Explode with this water?
Just by having water, because water causes a reaction to occur, and with the machine that causes an explosion. And so because he was adding like lithium metal or something else, stuff like that to make this organic compound. And he was working late night one night. He's on the third floor. We're on the first floor. They're very back of the school. He's at the very front of the school. I'm in there, like running real quick to check my lab and like that. Go ahead, get started. I get in there. Next thing I hear, boom, right? I mean, huge ass bomb, right? And I'm like, what the hell went on, right? So being nosy, right? I'm like, okay, let me go find out what's going on. So I ran upstairs, the bombs are going off and everything like that. It blew a hole in the side of the building. Right? I don't have a picture of it because at that point there was no cell phones. Otherwise, I'd have taken a picture of it right there and then. It was crazy. And so I'm dating myself, right? But it was fucking crazy, right? But the thing was that he was lucky because he was walking out, so he got blown away from the explosion. Otherwise, he would.
Like his body, like.
Yeah, it's crazy, but he did. It screwed up his face. Part of his face was all screwed up, but he was alive. Otherwise, he would have been alive. So it literally blew a hole in the building. And the technician didn't label it correctly. They put anhydrous, but they didn't remove the water out. Right? And so technician caused the problem, ended up causing.
He lost his job for that one, huh?
Yeah.
I know he did.
Yeah, because you didn't label that. And so it's important that you convey to your colleagues what you've done. And you don't just put the label on there and not, you want to be sure that you're sure about it, because otherwise it's bad. So that scared the crap out of me. I'm like, man, I don't want to do any experiments for a little while, Anyway. Questions, concerns? Yes. Okay, let's move on. So let's add another layer.
Oh my.
Are you feeling confident?
No. We're not onion.
You're not onion?
Yeah. You have multiple layers.
Oh,
For sure, come on.
I get it.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next part is when we're talking about covalently bonded. Okay, so that basically means that they're all going to be non-metals, right? All non-metals. So, for instance, if we have CO2, call this carbon dioxide. Okay, so here we're going to use the brief prefixes to tell us how many of the non-metals, all the non-metals we have. So we can also call this mono carbon dioxide, but we're going to have it drop in the mono. Particularly, we only use it when it's in the last part, right? So if it's we call this guy carbon monoxide. Okay. So if I have what would I call that?
So I have a question. So for the first part, do you add the number like O2? Do you put dioxide or just leave it
Two.
oxygen?
Di, right?
I'm talking about the O2.
So you would also, you're asking, yes, you put how many you have of the oxygen, right? Because this was just called carbon, right? So then we say, how many oxygens do we have?
2 die, right?
So then we use di,
Excellent.
oxygen.
Hexafluoride.
Hexa. Chloride. Right. Okay, again, you notice it ends with IDE. That lets me know that's the end of the compound. Okay. So if I have this, and it doesn't say AQ. Gas. G is for gas. Okay. So let's check it out. Excellent. So now oxygen, you'll notice we keep the di. So anytime that you have the I, you're gonna, if there's A, you're gonna drop it. or if there's an O. So then it would be just be half oxygen. And it's only with the oxygen. So A's and O's drop. Yeah. Yeah, but that's only with the oxygen. Don't know why. Hey, you want to try one more? You guys got it? Yes.
Oxygen.
Okay, how many carbons do I have?
Very high.
Dicarbon.
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 Tetranitrogen. Trinitrate.
Trifine nitrogen.
Don't know anything else. I knew this for sure.
And it's
Tridigoxide.
oh. Remember, drop the A. So you don't want to, it shouldn't say deca oxide. It should be deca
I was
oxide.
thinking about this.
Drop that A, and you also drop the O. Like it makes some bond. You don't have minors or.
I don't know.
Okay. You guys get that pretty simple? Okay, so prefixes only go with covalently bonded compounds. You can only gases. It can also be a solid. So covalently bonded compounds. Now, don't mistake those for acids, because acids, they have AQ, right? And the naming is different. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. You guys, we have 30 minutes left, right? We've gone through all of the nomenclature except for organic. So we'll save for later. Okay. And so what I'm gonna do is we'll play a little game. Right? Extra credit points, and you tap out. You get to go early. Right? I said extra credit points and you tap
That's
out.
literally like 3 pages of
You
notes.
get to go early. Okay, so you have to name either name the compound or give me the chemical formula. You'll have, I'll give you guys 8. Nice. 8.
I'm gonna give us an 8 for. I'll just be. It's just.
That's 8 problems. And for groups.
Friday didn't come early. Where's the hospital? Drop off sardines. Bring your friends cups. Because I don't work.
I'm so screwed up.
Yeah, he did. He was like, I was gonna eat glass, I was like, now you break it.
Girl, stop.
Oh,
Mr. Yeah, he stayed because she didn't work on Wednesday.
I wait,
Yeah. Yeah. Literally, because they have like court.
you guys go to stay for the day.
Maybe want all these specific ones.
Yeah.
And how about any-
Dead eyes. They go into they go into pretty target that one. I was pissed though. Going after I get mad when you spend money on things you need and companies are so expensive. This is expensive. So we don't charge you. They ruined right there. Change it? No, we went to Canal, we said we might pay for it, but $30 right now. That haircut was 40 bucks.
But what's this one? Wednesday? No,
Is that their first day here? No, it wasn't. That's the second week.
Yeah, I started.
Yeah.
Is it the second?
Yeah, the first one.
I will think.
It's so much better. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's.
Go team, go.
We actually took it,
I figured for this one.
why did we have some freaking baby guy just we were started playing music and like, dude, there's a thing of time. So Julia?
So PO5, that's a.
And we changed my profile.
What was it? Was it? Yeah.
Yes.
High quality class station.
Oh, yeah. Ammonium
Oh,
hypo. I feel like I just stole a lot of this stuff. Number 40. Oh, I didn't get it because you have separate. It's going to do away with the cap. Should have put them in. No, should have put them in. Okay. I don't know what I write.
Yeah, but hydrate.
Wait, something capitalizes.
Oh, shoot.
I know, if I don't have it, then it's in the box. But I don't know if it's wrong. And you'll have to attach. Antimony on the high level. Hypoantimony.
Oh, yeah.
It's a. Is that on the chart? Wait, where did you go? Oh, wait. Acid.
Because it would have been two. It's two dots. So there's an H2. That's just there. That blue is linked with the hydrogen and that's the oxygen. is there. They don't look at the H2, but if it was just SC2, you would say, okay, that's what. Because it's an acid when it changes. So that's what the word is. Yeah. So the but if it's H2, if it's solid, it'll be as well. Or isn't it? So H would be it's ick. Yeah. Could be. Yeah, it's in Bible. So yeah, it would be. What is this sulfur? No, there's no hypo. So just sulfur. Yeah, so it would be sulfur. So what would be like the most interesting? So number 4 now. I think that was would you say selenium monoxide?
So would it be like Tetris?
Selenium?
Oh, no, that's good. Yeah. That's good to have the science scale. Where do you think Tetra from?
No, that's when it's in front.
Or was it after?
Yeah.
No?
Well, this is not.
Oh, shit. You're just, it's like,
Alright.
And I'm sure you heard some.
You have to do
Die. One. And that was changing the number.
you'll have a charge of it. It's 42.
I don't know. I'll just say total.
Oh, so this one's small.
What's your?
Yeah.
I'm still not very sure.
That's fine.
Emerald 5?
5 is, no, the 5 is already at the very end. That's a charge. Trajectory is gonna be the whole.
It's so different.
Oh, it is the middle box. So it would be MO, so that's. It's gonna be MO something, parentheses, something carbonite. And carbon. It was carbonite. It wasn't carbonite that weird one. Oh. Wait, carbonate, carbonate. For the 2 carbonates. Well, I'm just gonna go, so carbonate right here is 3, so carbonate would be the 2. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Carbon is 4.
Oh, and the 2 4. So it'd be like a currency and then do the 2.
Oh, yeah, the charge. Well, so you know how you have to make it even? So this one has 5. Because of right here, and then carbon is 1. So we would take like 4 of these and 5 of these. Make it 0. That's one B. That would be 2, 4, 4. That's each one. Because the charge is always gonna be at that.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. No, it's fine.
Yeah. And
I like that
you
one.
need that big ass water jar? Yeah, you do.
Because I know that, oh, have to go all the way across. Oh, the two, have to go all the way across.
Wait, no.
No,
I literally just said it earlier.
oh yeah, because 5 times 4 is 20, and if 4 times 5 is 20, so it would be the 4 and then the 5.
So you put the 5 on here?
Yeah, we
And
can.
now the 5 would be, you would be per phosphate.
So pursue them to phosphate, because after 5, what they have. It's gonna be red.
The dendritic is 12 each
Yeah.
The charge is
Oh, call it.
2.
From PO 84. 84. 84. Would it be PO?
Yeah.
5? Yeah, 5 on the bottom.
We ready for 84.
No, but doesn't there need to be 1 on the top?
It was the, one
Oh,
of the
yeah,
numbers you
yeah,
added.
oh, no, depending on what it is, no?
There's a right here.
It went from 8.
And then the R. 8.
No, that's not for.
It goes to O. It goes to OUS.
That's not for the
Close.
Okay, try again.
One a typo.
Nope. It's PO and then O. Because the oxygen. The oxygen. I wonder if you need it though. What was it?
What was that? No, they had typo in there.
That's what I was saying, 8. So yeah, you would need the O.
I'm trying another typo.
So what, right? This will be fine though.
You can, as long as you
But what's the
recognize it.
next? I think it's 2, because that's what PO is. 1, 2.
So
PO.
the first group, we'll say will get 4 points, second group will get 3 points, third, 2 points. And then whoever, was that,
How many people in group?
whatever you guys decide is your group, and be a group of 2, be a group of 6, you know?
Want the whole class in the
The whole
What?
class. The whole class is a group.
But don't do that, you know, it's too late now. You know? I try to encourage that, you know? I want to branch out to 2 or 1, you know, so that's on
Next time, the
you.
whole class.
Next time,
Make the
yeah.
decision to be in
One.
class.
Tomorrow.
It's like 3 and I got 5. Is it 5? Oh, yeah.
Because the way I see it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 groups. You saw the part. What I meant, right?
On the typo.
Not on, yeah, you got the typo fixed. Typo is
On the 6, right?
Okay, so.
so look at it. I want you to take a really good look at it. Go. Grab a table, look at it.
A little.
Yeah.
Wait, I can't find it.
I can't either. Number 8.
I don't see it.
Is there an ammonia?
There is a moment.
On the table? On the
On the
table?
periodic table?
It's not on the periodic table.
Okay,
Okay,
there
well, then
is
look at
like
the other sheet then.
Isn't it something like big and like chemicals or something?
The second
Found
one. It's in-
Where is it?
Yeah, I found it. Or that group.
Okay, you guys got 5 minutes. So much for getting out early, yeah.
Yeah.
Going by fast, don't it?
Okay, got it.
They did the last one, right?
US.
So something like, it's
So
eight.
from
Four.
Yeah.
So it's
it's gonna be CO.
It's gonna be times, like the little circle.
CO2.
That's it?
Wait, I'm missing something right here.
Oh, that's
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. I took it up. She's ready to take it for me. It's fine, it's fine. It's fine.
It's one.
I haven't go sit down.
You already have so much credit points.
We don't need it.
Oh, hey, do you guys get it?
I think we did one.
Oh, you jinxed it.
Oh, there's 3.
Oh,
Failed. Anyway, see, that last one needed the theme on it.
thank you very much.
No, no, thank you.
What do you
I
got?
know, we're like,
One, two.
No, that was right.
That's right.
That's why
1,
1,
2, 3, wait.
I'm telling you, that needs something. And this one.
Oh, they got it. No, like come up
Oh,
like
I
I
thought
meant. Like
Help, not give. Because if it's give, I take away.
oh, wait, trust me, I ain't giving nothing.
No,
Where's my table? Where's my table?
Okay, where are we?
Where's my period?
So your homework number 6 is gonna be pushed back. So it's not gonna be, I have to adjust. it. There we go. And also, you guys want to make sure that you do the practice test. Not yet. It will be here soon. I'll be. at the
So
end of the
basically,
year.
our exam is the same practice.
Your exam is very, very similar to the practice test. I tried. I mean, it's like almost verbatim, you know?
Oh, not all I got.
I know you will.
We got 3 right. You should go check.
Usually like that very
yours
first
and see what
exam,
you
everybody
guys
gets to slap their face.
Just to make sure, like, so we should see what we have. to do.
Because now we understand how.
I didn't put her in the- right now.
All right.
Okay, you guys want to do the article?
Another extra article?
No, there's just the health disparities.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
What is that?
It has extra credit, you say?
It's not extra credit, it's regular points.
Okay, cool.
It's you gotta read the box article on health disparities.
It's a new one?
Norming, racial norming.
Oh, so it's a new article?
No, it's been there for a while.
Oh, I already did that a long time ago.
Good.
I did it like right when it was like fun.
The class is on. Is the
Yeah,
first,
it's-
this is what
It's at the end of,
Here we go.
we're- next week, it'll be, we only have 4 weeks left.
When you do it, Chroma is CR. CRO.
Mistakes, okay?
Hold on, wait.
Oh, yeah. And then the number 3, but it's chromite.
I found dihydrogen. Okay, and then we just, oh wait, you know what?
Like little mistakes
It's
like
gonna be
that.
right here.
This one is little mistakes.
I was just gonna ask, like,
They're all technical mistakes. This one is not.
Yeah.
You're doing too many things.
I didn't know that.
Look what you have.
Yes.
Okay, time. So we got, I said time. So we got one group that gets 4 points.
What time class ends at 12?
Okay, so tomorrow what we'll do is you have the possibility of picking up at least 1 point extra credit if you haven't completed tomorrow.
Okay.
If you haven't
So wait,
Complete and correct.
if we have it by
Complete and
tomorrow?
correct tomorrow.
Okay, 1 point.
You'll get 1 point extra
I'll say
credit.
that.
1 point is better than
Oh,
nothing.
yeah.
Hey, that's the way the game works. Nobody left early either. so.
I'll leave early tomorrow.
And then also this week, there's another possibility of getting extra credit.
Yeah, it's really
Uh,
hard. Yeah, really. No, it's
No one replies on that.
Yeah, they really don't.
It's like I say,
I know,
show,
but
they don't
I'm
get it.
like,
I'm
you have my number.
It's
It's,
tomorrow.
it starts at noon.
Yeah, we're gonna go tie-dye.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
gonna
it's
go
on
tie-dye.
Wednesday.
Oh,
Wednesday. I thought it was tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay, then tomorrow. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So right now, I'm confused.
We're
Right
all
after
confused.
Yeah, we're gonna go tie-dye.
What we do is take a picture.
We're getting involved.
So wait, is it multiple events or it's just
Yeah.
it's all one? They got separate booths.
That's also really fun.
I have to bring money. Going to my first year. Yeah. Tomorrow.
Should we get to like snack? We're not there.
See you guys.
We have our show.
Tomorrow.
Or we should just get it.
Hopefully I'll be more awake.
Oh, girl, you're gonna knock out. I don't sleep with
Yeah, exactly. Nice cups.
Funny, you didn't tell me.
Okay. And you go So. Like. Prefix, yeah. Yeah.
These three, they talk together a lot.
What's that?
I said, I listen to them and they talk to each other a lot.
Yeah. That's what I want. Let's work it out as planned. Go.
Have you turned off this, are you gonna turn off the screen? And turn off the Zoom?
Yeah. I want to make sure Jesse earns his money.
So was the cookie good?
It was delicious.